you're getting ready for summer, aren't you, with your little t-shirt there? That's
I
fantastic.
am. I'm getting ready for summer. The Welcome Center, we're going to be partially open on May 20th, the same as everybody else in town. We're going to be sticking with the guidelines from the governor, but we think that there's probably going to be some people that are going to be looking for information, and we want to give them the right information and welcome them into town in a safe way.
Right. And you said that Mystic Seaport's going to be open?
Mystic Seaport's going to be open for the Memorial Day weekend, the outdoor exhibits, and they're letting half capacity in, so it's just outdoors, but they're also doing that free admission. What?
Right.
What? So
that's going to be fantastic.
It's going to be people like, running to be at the Seaport. And I talked to Old Mystic Village today and the downtown merchants, so everybody's kind of shaking it off and getting ready.
And so with the aquarium too, they're just trying to figure out, I mean, I think everybody's trying to figure out how we can get, actually receive people and receive them as if they're coming into our homes, and of course, social distancing and, the safety of the people. I think, people are ready for the summertime, Kristin. It's a long time coming. But of course, we don't want it to take it for granted that this virus is still out there. But again, I think businesses are ready, and I think businesses are getting ready to open and have been for several weeks. So the idea of May 20th, that there's actually a date that we can all shoot for, is just fantastic. I mean, people want to come.
I'm looking forward to being with you again in the studio.
Yes, I mean, we're trying this.
And I brought someone with me, and maybe she'll be here now. Is she here now, Frank?
Is she here?
A quick surprise visitor. I don't know if that's, a quick surprise visitor to say hello, because we're looking forward to when we can all be together again. And it's
who's that quick surprise visitor? Jessica!
Hi!
Jessica!
Oh my gosh, hi, I miss you guys.
I miss you. Jessica is like one of the best pinch hitting people I know. When Kristin is gone or I'm gone, it's just fantastic. How are you, Jessica?
Good, just crazy busy. Hi, Kristin. Oh my gosh, it's so good to see you guys. Yeah, so Kristin had kind of reached out to me about coming on to surprise you, and I was like, oh, heck yeah. We're in the process of the reopening process for Parks and Recreation, and kind of partnering with economic development and everyone. So we have a lot going on, but I just thought, absolutely, I cannot wait to see you guys. You look great.
Yeah, and we'll have you back on the show. We're thinking maybe in the next couple of weeks that we can come back into the studio and obviously social distancing. And so we'll have you back on again. And then you can tell the whole world what is going on with Groton Parks and Rec.
Why, thank you so much. I look forward to that.
And thank you for the surprise. Thank you, Jessica.
Bye, guys.
See you soon.
Bye.
Thank you. That was a great surprise. Love it. Thank you, Kristin.
She's adorable. She's a bundle of sunshine. So the other thing that we've talked about is the nonprofits that have been working through this crisis. And since we're a business organization, we've talked so much about how the economy has been affected, but we really wanted to talk too about the nonprofits and some of the people that are experiencing hardship, and then who's there to help them. And our next guest is
Betty Smith, the executive director of Always Home. And I'm sure she's just waiting to come on. And Betty, again, I think the last time we saw you, we really celebrated Always Home, and it was fantastic. And it was great to have the gala right before. When was the gala?
February 8th.
February
7th.
7th.
I think.
You know what, Betty? I can barely hear you.
I'm going to turn this up again.
Yeah,
okay.
Just a little bit. We're still practicing, doing the Zoom stuff too.
Right.
So February 7th, that seems like so long ago, Betty.
It does. And we were really, really fortunate that we had changed the date of the gala.
Yeah.
Because normally it would have been last weekend, and it wouldn't have been. So we were very fortunate that Always Home's Gala was in February. It was very successful. We were so happy to honor you, Susette, and Mike Mondello. And
we had a great time, Betty.
We
really
have a
did.
great time.
And I
Thank
was
you.
happy that, things worked out so well. And it's funny, that may be a date for you going forward. I don't know. That seems to be like a great date.
It was for us, for
Yeah.
sure. And, we have decisions to make as an organization, as all nonprofits do that have fundraising events, about when are we going to have our next one. We might assume that next February is a good, safe time. But our gala team is thinking about a lot of alternatives and still has that next February date in mind. So, probably by June 1st or the end of June at the very latest, we'll have some decisions about next February. But it was a really good date.
It was a really good day.
We had good weather too, except for the wind.
Yeah.
So I can't imagine that Betty Smith would be sitting on her laurels no matter what was happening. So why don't you tell us a little bit about what Always Home has been up to?
Well, so we've been busy, and we are all working. So we're all well. All the staff members are all well. They're all working from home. And, we haven't missed a beat, fortunately. Fortunately for our employees, but also fortunately for the clients that we serve. So, and it's been an amazing year. We've already served 10 months into our fiscal year. We've already served 300 clients.
Wow.
All of last year, it was 232. So we're about 30% higher so far this year than we were last year. So I'm glad to say, that we're all still doing what we do, and that's preventing family homelessness. And it's the clients, we keep meeting with them. It's just on the phone now instead of in person. So and we expect to stay busy, and unfortunately get even busier than what we are right now.
So, we talk about the clients and, of course, Always Home, preventing homelessness. So have you seen a rise during the COVID-19? And then also talk a little bit about their emotional state as well. Yeah. Because if our emotional state right now and through the COVID has been challenging, I'm sure, when you're trying to make ends meet and then hoping that you have a place to live with you and your family, that must be the emotional part. So I guess it's a two-pronged question. Mm-hmm. Is the rise, you see a particular rise in homelessness right now, and then also how the emotional state of your clients?
Yeah. Thanks. It's an interesting dynamic with homelessness right now in the state of Connecticut. We haven't seen a rise. We've stayed normally busy, but we haven't seen a rise yet. And the reason I say that is because with the governor's executive orders putting a hold on all evictions until July, and with the governor's other executive order that that offers the opportunity for renters to delay paying their rent for April, and if they're affected by COVID-19 for May, June. It's meant that families are avoiding evictions right now because of these executive orders. Families who may be not able to pay their rent. And there's a lot of those. We have a lot of our families who have been affected by COVID-19. They have lost their jobs, their hours have been reduced. Right. They've lost their childcare, so they can't get to work. Or they're teaching their kids at home because the schools are closed. It's a lot of factors.
I find that challenging.
Whoa, I
with many families.
I can't even imagine having to do that and try and work and take care of, everything else in your life. There's a lot of strong people in this world. However, when the governor's orders expire in July, that's when we expect to see not only a rise, Susette, but a tidal wave. And unless something is done in between now and then, we work with families who are working poor, okay? Many of our families that we work with actually have jobs, but they are minimum wage jobs. And when they lose those jobs, yes, they're getting unemployment, many, some aren't. Yes, they may be getting, that $600 stimulus payment. Yes, there's some other payments that have been made, but because they are excused from having to pay their rent right away, they're not paying their rent, so they're using that money for other basic needs. They're
Even
buying.
the electric company has put off any kind of shut off. The
Yep.
cable companies have delayed any kind of shut off as well. So if you didn't
Yep.
want to pay them before, then.
But the
that's
key word
helping.
there is delayed. It's not, none of it's forgiven. It's
Right.
all
That's
going to
the
come
key.
due. It's
Right.
all going to come due. And if you're living that close to the poverty line, you're not saving that money. You're having to spend it for your expenses, right? This any income that they may be getting from unemployment, et cetera. So,
And we also have to remember that $600 is not going to last forever.
no, it's a one-time.
July, it's done.
Yeah. And it's what we believe is that there are thousands of people, probably a couple of 100,000 people across all of Connecticut, who will not be able to pay their rent when that rent bill comes due, because they will have to pay for April, May, June, and July, right? They
Right.
can't, they live so close to the poverty level that, they can't save that kind of money to pay 4 months rent all at one time. And so therefore, because the landlords, they're people too, right? And they have all their expenses. The landlords are going to be experiencing 4 months without income, rental income.
Right.
It's our firm belief, and the belief of a number of agencies, particularly in this region, that the landlords will move very quickly to eviction. They're not going to wait on July 11th when all of the governor's executive orders have run out and the regular 10-day waiting period, or not waiting period, but grace period for rent in Connecticut runs out. We are going to see thousands and thousands of evictions unless something is done. So that's why I say it's not a rise in clients, it's a tidal wave. And it's a horrific economic bomb waiting to go off for thousands of people across Connecticut, and honestly across the United States too, because there's other states that have enacted similar executive orders, not the majority, but many.
So Betty, since Always Home is preventing homelessness, is there reaching out? Is there something that we can do in order to get the message out to the people that are just delayed? And that was my first part of the question. And then also, what is it that Always Home does once you get accepted into the program?
Yeah. So for the folks that are delayed, okay.
Is that the right word though? Delayed?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I was talking when Kristin was saying that.
Yeah.
I don't know what the right word is either. But
yeah.
I'm thinking about planning ahead. I'm thinking about they probably know that this tidal wave is coming too, or that they're afraid of July 11th and they're going to try to get away with it, which I would do. I'm doing that for the electric company right now.
Well, yeah, and it's that we have to. Everybody has to prioritize, right? And so, how do we get the word out? We've put some information on our website for renters, kind of like a renter's guide in terms of this is what these executive orders really say and what they don't say. It's not a free ride. It is simply a delay in having to make the payments. And here's a letter that if you want your June and July payments, rentals delayed, here's a letter that you must send your landlord. So we've included that as well. And we've contacted all of the clients that we're seeing. We talk to them about, what's really going on here versus what most people think. And that's, well, Governor Lamont told me I don't have to pay my rent until July. Well, that's not true. That's not what he said, and that's not, but unfortunately it's how a lot of people interpret it. So I wanted to also go back to the emotional, because Susette had asked me about the emotional state that people are in. And we're seeing a lot of clients with a heightened level of anxiety, without a doubt. And it comes out in a number of different ways.
Right.
Thank God we have a wonderful social worker with Marlon Banker who can recognize this, who can, because of her training and her education, she talks people down off the ledge frequently. So the emotional state for sure is heightened, Susette. And it is for everybody. It is in my house. I'm sure it is in your house, Kristin's house. Everybody is reacting to this isolation that we've all experienced in different ways. But one really common way is some anxiety. And it comes out in the strangest ways sometimes. But so there is I think that mental health is going to be a challenge going forward. Safe, reliable housing is going to be a big challenge going forward. And people that fall off into homelessness because maybe they don't hear about the services that are available to them, et cetera, or sometimes don't choose to partake of them, are going to become homeless. So it's something that we try to get ahead of. We try to work, Always Home tries to work upstream of homelessness and tries to get ahead of what the issues are that are causing it. And what we do, I think this was the second part of Kristin's question.
Right.
Right. The programs that we do offer, we can help tenants with rent payments. We can with back rent, overdue rent, et cetera. We can help them with utility payments, so that right now maybe their utilities aren't getting shut off, but when when those protections run out, the utilities companies also have to get paid, right? So we help with utilities, we can help with rent, we can help with security deposits if somebody needs it to be able to move into a new apartment. On a regular basis, we also help with transportation problems. So if somebody's car breaks down during this time period or any time, we can work with them to try and pay for auto repairs so that they can keep getting to work. And we can also help to pay for childcare. Childcare is going to be another issue, I think, that's going to be a huge issue going forward, because I was on a call this morning with some other agencies and some in New London and some that provide childcare. They've been closed. There is no childcare. Some of them are beginning to open, but with serious limitations on the number of children that they can take in. So for example, Riverside Children's Center usually has 100 plus children. When they open again on May 18th, they can only have 33 children. And so what does that mean? Yeah, there's all those families that normally would be sending their children to Riverfront, and they can't take them. So the really tough decisions are going to have to be made. There's a lot of tentacles to COVID and its impact, on people that are, I'll just call it the working poor, people that really want to work. They want to pay their rent, they want to pay their utilities. And unfortunately, I think for the foreseeable future, there's going to be a lot of challenges.
So a lot of, going back to Kristin at the beginning of the show, COVID has affected a lot of, so many different parts of our economy and certainly our businesses, but the nonprofits that rely on donations. So we talk about businesses are closed, and typically businesses are the ones that help. You know what I mean? Stock markets are taking a plunge, so those that have a little bit of extra that would be normally more, apt to donating would. So how is your organization financially, and how are you trending to try to keep this sort of upbeat and upward mobility on the finance side? And how can we as Mystic Matters and the people that adore Always Home help?
Thank you so much for asking the question, first of all. Always Home is doing well financially. We're very fortunate in that at the beginning of this fiscal year, so about 10 months ago, we put some plans in place to enhance our donor relationships with, our relationships with those donors, whether they be corporate or foundations or individuals. We have been working very hard at enhancing those relationships over the past year in particular. And it has paid off. So we've developed new communications campaigns, new ways of reaching out to our donors, new ways of communicating with them so that they know what's going on with us and they better understand the organization, and they have been so giving. So even though we are serving 30%, almost 30% more clients, financially, our donors and all the foundations and all the rest of it, all this activity has really been working very well for us. We are, as always, spending as much as on our clients. So all this money comes in. It doesn't come to Always Home. It comes to our clients. You really need to think of it that way because, we have. Well, you've seen our offices.
Yes. Always Home is sort of the facilitator that goes, comes here and goes out to the clients.
We provide the services, but, a very big proportion of our revenues go towards our clients. So having said that, there have been a few foundations and other grantors who have really stepped up with specific COVID-19 grants, et cetera, and some that we didn't even apply for, a couple of gifts came out of the blue. So, the generosity of not only the local community, but some of the more regional type foundations has been wonderful. We still are applying for grants and new grants, and that's where we've gotten quite a bit of our new monies is through new grants. But what can be done? So because we believe with all of my heart, I believe that we are going to be faced, with this huge increase in clients and need in the very near future. I can't just look back and say, oh, we've had a good year so far financially. No, I am firmly believing that, and we're doing everything that we can to prepare our donors and the foundations and others to know that we are really going to be in need. And my best guess at this point is July 1st, or maybe even the middle of June, because I think people will begin to realize that, oh my gosh, I haven't paid April, May, or June, and now it's July, and wow, I'm going to have to pay. So they may very well be coming to us, and I hope that they do come to us so that we can provide some assistance to keep them from being evicted. But to your point, that we have been able to provide the services to 30% more people, and I think that need will rise even much greater over the next several months. So the need is always there to be able to provide those services.
Right.
Betty, is there a chance for volunteers? Do you have that capacity?
Generally, we only need volunteers during a couple of times of the year. Thanks for asking. Usually our volunteers are needed during the time of our gala and during the time of the charity chowder cook-off, and I forgot exactly the whole title over at Old Mystic Village that Joyce Resnikoff has identified Always Home as the beneficiary.
Cabin fever. Is
Thank
anybody
you.
having that right now?
Well, it used to be the Mystic Village Chowder Cook-Off or something like that.
I'm sorry.
Years ago.
Forgive me that I don't have the right title.
No.
Oh, by the way, Betty, now that we can announce this, I mean, because you sequestered all the judges, Betty. But I want to tell you, 15 chowders you had us taste. It was a lot of fun.
Thank
it
you
really
for
was
being
a
a
lot
judge,
of fun.
Susan.
I said, oh my gosh. I mean, you did have to taste them too.
Yeah.
I mean, you had to taste them. You can't just say, okay, this is, but listen,
You did.
I was done with chowder after I left, but
I bet you haven't had it since. Yeah.
I haven't had it since.
No, you could have another one now. You could have another cabin fever because
We could.
all like, let me out of here.
Betty and Kristin, we've got a couple minutes left, and I really, I really want to focus on Betty going forward, and talk a little bit about, there still is going to be that need that July. You seemed, and all of us seem to say, well, July seems to be the month that's going to be sort of, I don't want to say the crisis month, but the need month, and so Always Home is continually asking for donations, and also, I mean, along with your grants and your fundraisers, there's very much a need.
Absolutely.
Okay,
Absolutely.
and how can they get a hold of you?
So our website is alwayshome.org, www.alwayshome.org. Our Facebook page, Always Home, and those are the two best ways right now, because short of giving out my home cell phone number.
Right.
People still can call us at 860-245-0. Oh my gosh, do you believe I've forgotten our own office
probably
telephone?
Well, because you don't dial it.
It's right there because I never call it. But of course, we are still picking up all calls and everything. They're all just getting forwarded. So anybody who's interested absolutely can contact us in that way. The only other thing I'd say about volunteers, to Kristin's question, is as we're thinking about alternatives to a once-a-year gala,
We've got about 30 seconds left.
Okay, we may very well be needing volunteers throughout the year. There.
Betty,
thank you.
Our heart goes out to you. Always Home, great organizations, and to Bill. Kristin, I will see you next week. Love you guys, and we'll see you next week. We are the Greater Mystic Chamber of Commerce. Good evening.